grab a blanket and snuggle up, for we are about to begin Story Time with the Herd. Welcome to Story Time with the Herd. I'm your host, Magus. In this episode, I will be telling you the storyline of events in the game known as Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Now, before we start with the story, I want to share some information with you about the game of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. The game was first released in Japan on January 9th of 2010 on the PlayStation Portable. For all you youngins out there, we old folk used to call this device a PSP. And on September 7th, the game became available worldwide. Though this game was released 8 years after the original game, it is actually a prequel to the original Kingdom Hearts story, taking place 10 years before the main introduction of the characters Sora and Riku. Now that we have gotten a little general information about the game, we can get into the story aspect of it. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, or BBS, features the storylines of 3 separate characters known as Terra, Ventus, and Aqua. In the game, you play as each character, going one by one throughout their storyline. In this podcast, each character will get their own separate episode as I play through and beat their storyline in-game on my Twitch page at XAncientMagusX. With the release of this episode, we finished the playthrough of Ventus' story October 12th, and will begin the playthrough of Aqua's story October 26th. With that being said, I, Magus, will be your magical narrator through the timeline of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. We continue on into Ventus' story.
After the exam, it's clear that Ventus has earned the interest of Master Xehanort and his apprentice, Ventus. Though their intentions are rather ambiguous at the time, Ventus decides to give Ven some incentive to leave his home against Ericus's orders. When Ventus appears in Ven's room, he leaves dark hints of Terra's fate and how he'll become a different person. Ven becomes very defensive, telling Ventus that he doesn't know the first thing about Terra. However, once Ventus leaves via a corridor of darkness, Ven hurries out to find his friend in hopes of giving him the warning. Unfortunately, Ven arrives much too late as Terra leaves to go on his mission. Left with no other choice, Ventus leaves his home and begins a journey of his own. Ven visits new worlds, building new friendships along the way, and eventually lands in a world known as the Enchanted Dominion. After freeing Princess Aurora's heart, Ven encounters Maleficent. Maleficent reveals to Ven that Terra helped steal Aurora's heart, but Aqua arrives just in time to convince him otherwise. She then asks Ven to go with her, but he refuses, remembering the cryptic warning left by Ventus. After leaving the Enchanted Dominion, Ven encounters Ventus and follows him straight to the Keyblade graveyard. There, the two battle, but Ventus easily outmatches Ven and nearly kills him. It's not until King Mickey arrives that Ventus is defeated. Upon his defeat, Ventus tells Ventus that he's on probation and disappears, leaving Ven and Mickey alone. During this time, Mickey tells Ven about the Star Shard, an item that allows him to travel to different worlds, but he is still unaware of all its secrets. At this time, the Star Shard sends them both to Radiant Gardens. Ven tries to follow Mickey, only to be intercepted by 2 guards. It is then that he spies an Unversed and gives up his search for Mickey, and instead goes after the monster. After finding the inverse he was chasing, as well as Terra and Aqua, together they face the monster. But after its defeat, things change for the worse. First, Aqua tries to tell Ven to go home, and then she and Terra get into a fight regarding the darkness and Ericus's intentions. The whole time, Ven is left completely confused, as he'd never seen his friends bicker in such a way. In the end, he tells Aqua that she's let being a master go to her head, and he leaves to find Terra again. Though Ven does find Terra, their reunion is short-lived. And as Terra leaves, he tells Ven that he can't come along, but knows that when he really needs him, he will be there. Ven meets up with Aqua again and asks to come along, but Aqua orders him to return to the land of departure. Seeing Ven's disappointment, Aqua softens and explains that she merely doesn't want him to get hurt before departing. Later, in Neverland, he finds Mickey's Star Shard, only for Captain Hook to steal both it and Tinkerbell. Together, both he and Peter Pan team up against the pirate captain, saving Tink in the process. With Hook out of the way, he retrieves the Star Shard from Tinkerbell, only to be whisked away to the mysterious tower. Upon his arrival, Ven meets Donald Duck and Goofy, who take him straight to Yen Sid. There, it's discovered that Mickey went missing, but when Yen Sid uses his magic to find him, they discover the king is in danger. Determined to save Mickey, Ven departs from the tower and returns to the Keyblade graveyard. But when he reaches Mickey, everything changes. It's here, in the Keyblade graveyard, that Xehanort reveals to Ven his destiny to forge the Keyblade. He tells Ven that this is the real reason why he was never allowed to leave home and was constantly told to return, out of fear for the Keyblade's creation. After learning of his past, Ventus returns to Ericus, only for his master to try and destroy him upon realizing Xehanort's plans. Fortunately, he is saved by Terra and sent to Destiny Islands, much to his displeasure. There, he encounters Ventus again, who taunts him into remembering how Master Xehanort broke their heart in two. Once the memories return, Ventus decides to give Ventus a reason to fight. Ventus tells Ventus to come to the Keyblade graveyard, the only place where the Keyblade can be forged, and threatens to kill Terra and Aqua to see if Ventus will continue to play the pacifist. Left with no choice, Ven leaves in hopes of setting things right. Once reunited with his friends, Ventus explains the situation between himself and Ventus, admitting that he is terrified over the very thought of the Keyblade. He then asks to be destroyed in the event that he does have to fight Ventus. However, there's little time to mull over Ven's request, as both Master Xehanort and Ventus arrive. During their final battle at the Keyblade graveyard, Master Xehanort encases Ven in ice and throws him off a cliff. Aqua manages to catch him just before he hits the ground. Brig quickly appears and fights Aqua. After stalling long enough, Ventus then drops down from a cliff, knocking Aqua out. He prepares to kill Aqua, but before he can, Ven uses all his willpower to thaw himself and defend his friend. After the battle, Ventus reveals his true intentions and explains that the unversed came from his negative emotions. Trapping Ven with several floods, Ventus merges with Ventus and gains control over his body. However, the merging process was not complete. Their union was still not finished. Ventus and Ventus engage in a metaphysical battle where Ventus tries to fully join with Ventus and complete the Keyblade. Ven refuses and chooses to defeat Ventus and destroy the weapon, even if it means the destruction of his own heart. The two then engage in a decisive battle, and towards the end, Ventus forces a D-link on Ventus in hopes of completing their fusion. However, Ventus prevails and the Keyblade is destroyed along with Ventus. Unfortunately, this also results in Ventus losing his heart, leaving him in a comatose state. Aqua later places his body in a chamber within Castle Oblivion. Somehow, Ventus's heart finds its way to a young Sora in his own awakening, and his heart passes on into Sora's body.
And that's the summarization of Ventus' story in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. The music in this episode is copyright Square Enix, and I am able to use it due to their material usage policy. This episode is not sponsored or endorsed by Square Enix. I'd like to give a special thanks to Vrykerion. You can find him on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Vrykerion. That's VRYKERION on all platforms. If you liked what you heard, you can find me on Twitter at AncientMagusX, Twitch at XAncientMagusX, or you can jump into my Discord server. The invite is in the episode description. Thank you all for joining me on this journey, and be sure to stay tuned for the next installment.